好，我哋稍為靜咗。Okay, all right, I got it. Okay, let's just sit quietly for a minute, and before I turn it over to Venerable De Hong. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Venerable De Hong. Just before we start, Venerable De Hong remind me, he said, Danny, just remember now, today's is English class. I said, oh, no problem. I won't be speaking Cantonese. And of course I did. So show you how much mindfulness I have. Okay, so quickly, we usually do the English class on the first Tuesday of the month, but since I was away for 2 weeks, we're doing it today. Okay, so welcome, Venerable De Hong. Thank you for being with us. You have to turn on your mic.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Let's start with the lecture first. Give me 1 second. Okay. So when last month, September, that when Joanne was talking to us with the interaction and the questions and the answers, I noticed that there were a lot of folks with anxiety. So I decided to include a couple things before we talk about loving kindness. So I found the writing by Dr. Paul Friday, who is a clinical psychologist at U of Penn at Shady Side. He has been practicing for more than 30 years. And his statements, they sound very Buddhist, and you will see. And here's a bit introduction of his work. He practices CBT, and he helps clients to understand the connection from their thoughts to emotion to beliefs and actions. And he also brought up the topic of distress. What that means is that when we are busy in the things that we do, a lot of times we forget to breathe. And I have the same problem, especially when I'm driving. Then when we forget to breathe, what happens is that the carbon dioxide gets to stay inside our body, which causes the body to feel distressed. So here's what he said. So here's the exercise that he offers. Basically he said these are stressful times. I'm not sure when he wrote this, published this booklet, but he recognized the stress that we Americans as a whole experience a lot of stress. So the thing to recognize, he said is that our cerebral cortex is the parent, the frontal lobe, and the child is the temporal lobe areas, so that we can think clearly. And here is and the topic of his writing is called Friday's Law: How to Become Normal when you are not, and how to stay normal when you are. So the distress exercise basically starts with breathe in, counting 1 to 4 through your nose, and pause, hold your breath, counting 1 to 6. One of the I'm not sure if you guys know, when we breathe out, our out breath is longer than the in breath. So he said to do it for several minutes. I would say for 2 minutes. Sometimes if you are new to this practice, to this exercise, your body may stress out when you repeat this exercise. So when we hold our breath, basically, he said, we prepare the mind and the body for fight or flight. But this also builds up the carbon dioxide levels in the lungs and the brain. So by doing this exercise, 4 and 6 exercise, you can begin to be a rebalancing process called homeostasis, which is necessary for good physical and mental health. And here are the 8 fundamentals to normal and effective thinking that he said. The first one is life is difficult. As you guys know, especially right now in our state of economy, in our state of politics, is quite challenging, And the second one is perception is reality. How each one of us perceive the world is our own bubble, our own reality. Change is the toughest thing a human being can do. And as you guys know, the Buddha taught change as one of the major topics that we humans faced. 4, you can never change another human beings. You can only change yourself. Once you change, they change, but you cannot change them, or they may not change. So, and this is from pretty much all the psychologists that I have read about. Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, who wrote the book Nonviolent Communication. I believe Dr. Gabor Mate also. They basically said, don't expect to change people. You just have to change yourself, or actually you have to let go of your expectation of how people should behave, or they should think the way that you think. Let that go. And number 5, I'm responsible for everything I do and say. I'm not responsible for your response. This is basically what the Buddha called, karma, right? We are responsible for our own karma, and you are responsible your own karma. The future and past are seldom as good or as bad as we anticipate or remember. And the thing with us is that sometimes we tend to look into the past to find the good memories to make us feel good. Or if we are planning ahead, then we go to the future and stay there. It's challenging for us to stay in the present. And it's a lot more difficult for people who have been traumatized. 7, nobody has a squeaky-clean psyche. It's not easy, especially for a lot of us who went through life with a lot of challenging circumstances. We make mistakes, that's what he meant by not having a clean psyche. And number 8, the only thing that lasts forever is now. So each moment is like right now, and that is the only way. The present moment is the only moment that we can make a difference, that we can create positive karma that could change our past, or certainly will be beneficial to our own future. And I include the link here just to So in case if you guys want to download his writing. I also found if you find that you have a lot of anxiety, I found this free PDF. It's actually from England. It's called Understanding and Managing Anxiety Workbook. If you guys have time, I would highly recommend that you download the workbook and use it to help ease your anxiety. So that's the first topic. Second, in case if you don't know or didn't know, October 10 was the Mental Health Day, which I found an article, I think from CNN, which I will talk about a bit later. But I found this publication by Mental Health America that was published earlier this year, and it basically survey the mental health of adults and also the young folks as well. And basically, it finds that there are 23.4% of adults in the U.S. in the last year experienced some form of mental illness, and that is equivalent to over 60 million people. It's a lot of people. And 17.7% of adults had a substance use disorder, and that is about over 46 million people. And also 5.5% of adults had suicidal thoughts. That is over 14 million people in America. And to be honest, I'm not a clinician, but this is very alarming of the state of where we are as a country. So among the youth, the percentage actually dropped a little bit in terms of mental health, but the percentage of youth ages 12 to 17 who experience a major depressive episode in the past year dropped from 18.10% to 15.4% last year. And percentage of youth who had suicidal thought also dropped to 10.10% last year. But again, young people in our country are still struggling. 11.3% ages 12 to 17 had a major depressive episode with severe impairment in the past year. Again, and that in terms of humans, that's 2.8 million youth in our country. Is a concern. And the other thing is mental health, access to mental health. And basically 77% of all adults with a substance use disorder did not seek mental health, basically did not go to therapy. 9.2% of the adults with any mental illness did not have insurance, and that's over 5 million people. 28.6% of adolescents, this is the young adults, this is our future, right? Didn't have a preventative health visit, and that's over 7 million young people in America. And also 25% of American adults with any mental illness reported unmet need for mental health treatment in the past year. So, and also basically the thing here, another problem is that for every 322 people, there was only one mental health provider last year. And it's right here. If you look at the circle, 320 individuals with only one mental health provider. First, we don't have enough therapists out there. Second, most of our health insurance do not cover therapy. So it's a if I may say, it's a lost battle. I'm sorry to say. And here is the ranking of the US of 51 US states in terms of access to health. And actually, New York was ranked number one. And I'm surprised that California was ranked at 15. I think we could do better than that. But again, this is the state of where we are. It is a concern, right? So October 10 was our World Mental Health Day. So basically, in the article, Dr. Ursula Klitsch who is a clinical psychologist in Atlanta. She basically said, how am I really? Maintaining clear awareness of your mental well-being is essential for prevention and balance. Self-awareness helps us to detect stress or emotional imbalance early, allowing adjustment. Being self-aware is part of emotional intelligence, a kind of emotional literacy for knowing what you feel. Understanding why is another part of the puzzle. But one can't even begin to take if we don't recognize we are having problems. So basically, I guess, meditation works that can help us to be aware of our feeling, our thought, our perception, which is basically our self-awareness. So here's what we can do. Basically, journaling or seeing a therapist. And the thing we need to know is that nobody feels perfectly happy or content all the time. And if you feel stressed, talk to a friend, go for a walk, choose a healthy habit, gardening, just taking a walk outside. Dr. Ken Duckworth said, if your stress lasts more than 2 weeks, talk to a doctor or therapist, especially if it affects your eating and sleeping. And the other question is, how resilient are you? If you are able to feel your emotion and make needed changes, you are okay. Or if you are able to be present with grief or any difficult negative feeling and emotions, then you know that you are okay. If not, then ask for help. The other question is, what if you feel you are in real bad shape? Basically, in the indicators, worsening impairment, abandoning responsibilities to loved ones, using substance to cope, not maintaining hygiene, putting your safety at risk, or feeling relenting, or feelings of hopelessness, despair, suicidal. See a psychiatrist. So I'm throwing it out there. We all have to do our part to first, take care of ourselves and also to help others. Anyway, so that's that. With only 10 minutes, so I will continue with our book on the practice of loving kindness. Last month, not last month, 2 months, I think that was in August, I covered the details in the Loving Kindness Sutta. Tonight, hopefully I can finish speaking about skillful thinking in meditation. So in the Q&A session, which I didn't really copy through here, but someone asked, how do I know that I experience loving kindness? And Ajahn Pasano said, when you're attending to the experience of non-ill will, non-dwelling in aversion, that's an indicator of building loving kindness, where ill will, aversion, irritation are not overwhelming the mind. But I also noticed this, and you can try this too. When you get frustrated and you are able to let it go, you are practicing loving kindness. You could also be angry, but you're able to let it go. That's how you know that you are practicing loving kindness. And also, Ajahn Pasano teaches that each day that passes, we are getting older, closer to death. And this is the reality, that this is our sense of agency. We don't have time to waste. That's why with my close friends, when their birthday, when they're celebrating their birthday, I will tell them, you are 1 year closer to kicking the bucket. And so we need to be, bring up the motivation that, hey, we are getting old, we could be sick, or we could experience death, or our loved ones could experience death. So, and this is the impermanence and uncertainty of the mind. And it's a skillful antidote to complacency. With this sense of agency, it is a positive mental state and motivation for us to spend our time wisely, to develop virtue, to cultivate wisdom and discernment through meditation, and basically be kind, know how to take care of ourselves and spend time with our loved ones. So when we meditate, give rise to loving kindness and direct the attention of loving kindness to us, to everyone, be it when we are thinking, feeling, or perceiving. And that is the praxis. When we meditate using loving kindness as our meditation object, we can overcome the 5 hindrances: sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt. And also, we need to get involved in this investigative process, basically our ability to pay attention and allow the mind to channel its energy, asking yourself, right, what do I feel? What do I stop? Like, what do I feel? Meaning, like, am I thinking about something? Whatever that is, is it positive? Then what we need to stop, if we think negatively about ourselves or others, we need to stop that. Or who do I pay attention to? What do I ignore? What do I encourage? What do I discourage? So these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, even during the meditation or after. We can unify the mind in a sense that when it comes to feeling well, peaced, and settled and steady, and when it's all working together and coming together, that's how we know that we are unifying our mind. I'm throwing these questions out there, basically, how do you spend your time? What's your motivation? Career, money, relationship, physical and mental health, spirituality, your religion, what do you worry about? How satisfied are you with your life? Or ultimately, what is your mind grasping? If it does, you want to be aware of that. Sometimes also during the meditation, if you cannot focus, in Thailand or in the Theravada tradition, they use the word butto. So when you breathe in, you say but. When you breathe out, you say to, butto. It basically actually is another word for the word Buddha. And this is also is helpful to help us to focus on the breath. And also with loving kindness, it helps us to counter change and suffering and not self, and help us to see through that. Or we can use a chant, right? May I abide in well-being. May I abide in happiness. May I abide in the basis of all that is pleasurable and delightful. When we repeat that, we can feel pleasure. But it is the right, like the Buddha said, is the attitude that we have when we cherish and honor ourselves. We can really look after and cherish others. And that's the foundation of our practice. So these are the phrases that you can use. When we practice loving kindness, then we become a source of happiness for people around us. And from the psychological perspective, the energy becomes positive emotion that transmit from our body to our surrounding, and know that emotion is infectious. When you are happy, people want to be around you. When you are not happy, people will run away, period. And also, here's what the thing with us is that we struggle to be happy. And this is also a common issue that the Dalai Lama, Sharon Salzberg, and Jack Kornfield, that Americans growing up in this country, they are very critical of themselves. This is another issue. But having to work with the incarcerated population, they cannot forgive themselves, and which is also can be difficult. And I advise them to let it go, not focus because of what they did. The other thing is that if you want to help others, you cannot give what you don't have, meaning that if you don't love yourself, how could you help others to love themselves? And more questions to reflect. Can you wish yourself well and happy? If not, investigate why. If yes, then how does it feel in your body? Then are you able to wish others well, especially people you don't like? Can you do that? The last part of this talk is loving kindness and relinquishment, meaning that like how to let go. We need to let go of our mood, aversion, right? When it comes up, we need to be aware of that. When we're able to let go of that, then we are able to access and experience peace. And as the Buddha taught us, all things or all dharmas are not to be clung to. And also the other thing that we need to be aware, when we take on a fixed view or position, that could also cause suffering. So the skillful question is, what's the root of that? Like let's say I am wealthy, or I am pretty, or in terms of politics, I am a Democrat, I am a Republican, I am a liberal or conservative. When we say that, we cause suffering to us. We differentiate. We don't see the interconnectedness between human beings. So with loving kindness, it can help us to uproot attachment, defilement, and clinging. Again, our views are deeply rooted in the mind. All views are speculative according to Ananda. So by understanding the foundation views, the obsession with views, the origination of views, and the uprooting of views, and that is true name. And this can help us to grow in our loving kindness practice. With that, I will transition to our meditation. Let's take your posture, however that you would like to sit or stand or lying down or even walking. But first, let's take some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you breathe in, make sure that the air goes in through your nose all the way down to your belly. And when you breathe out, make sure that you breathe out from your belly through your nose. Or you can breathe in, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As Dr. Paul Fridays discussed in the distress exercise. Anything that works for you. When you breathe deeply, you actually release the tension in your body. It helps to let go of thoughts, thinking, planning, fear, worry. Anything that you have encountered since this morning or the past week, let it all go. This will help you to be in the present moment. Remember, this moment is forever, and the next moment, and that's what Dr. Paul Friday meant. Tell yourself that you are safe, and also tell your brain that you are safe, so it does not have to be in hypervigilant mode. Once you're done, then breathe normally through your nose. Allow your body to settle. Feel the contact between your posture and the surface that you are sitting on. Start with a smile. Notice how you feel, how that feeling affects your body or the sensations in your body. Then notice that the feeling, the sensations are fading away. What do you feel next? Let's continue with the sense-door practice. First, noticing your environment, the space around your body. And use your body to feel the room temperature, but not your mind to make the judgment. With your awareness, let's check in with your mind, see how busy it is, and restless wandering around from one place to another. Notice your feeling, your emotion, your mood, your attitude. Notice what you can hear in each moment. Know that your hearing consciousness is always on. You cannot turn it off. Your sense of seeing, smell, and taste. These three senses during meditation are not active because there isn't anything to trigger them. Then your sense of touch in the body, noticing how the clothes that you wear feel on your body, and any sensation or tension throughout your body. the sense of practice helps you to stay grounded and centered, that you can do anywhere, anytime, so you don't get distracted easily or feel overwhelmed when you're being triggered. Let's gently and slowly bring your awareness to your breath. And just focus on the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath, to cultivate concentration. Meaning that you ignore thoughts or noise in your surrounding. That comes from your self-awareness. If your mind wanders away, you bring it back to the breath. If you feel restless or anxious, then you can use the word butto. Breathe in, say but. Breathe out, say toe. But, toe. Or if you have a favorite mantra, go ahead and use it. But try to stay with the breath. Bring the mind to the breath, in and out. No matter how busy the mind is, the thoughts that come up, let it pass. Your attention, your focus is the breath. You can also gently smile to feel pleasant, so that your mind can stay with the breath longer. Know that even smiling is a mental fabrication, but it's a useful practice for our practice. We also feel positive and hopeful when we smile. Let's move on and practice loving kindness. Still keeping your awareness with the breath. Loving kindness is your ability to wish yourself well, healthy, and happy. To counter anger, ill will, resentment, and hatred. This is a mental training of the mind, so as you are sitting, you can repeat some of the following phrases. May I be healthy. May I know how to care for my physical health. May I be happy. May I know how to find joy and happiness from within. May I always meet with spiritual success. May I have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. If a negative thought comes up, let it go. If a difficult person appears in your mind, let them go. Just keep repeating these phrases to cultivate loving kindness for yourself. And notice how you feel when you wish yourself healthy, happy, and peaceful. If you start thinking, let it go. Come back to the breath and repeat those phrases. Think of aging, sickness, and death so that you can inspire yourself to be diligent, to meditate, let go of any attachment, any defilement. You can also say, may I let go of any anger, ill will, resentment, and hatred. Convinced or allow yourself to let go. You can also think of your awareness as your mental power. That you are not helpless. You have this power. May I be healthy. May I know how to care for my physical health. May I be happy. May I know how to find joy and happiness from within. May I always meet with spiritual success. May I have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome any difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Just keep repeating these phrases and allow these phrases to become your reminders. And to sink into your subconscious mind so that when you are in any difficulties, you turn to loving kindness to deal with it. Let's sit in silence for the next few minutes. Continue to offer yourself loving kindness. With your awareness, let's check in with your mind, see how it is, perhaps settle somewhat, more clear, more stable, less wandering, less reactive, less judging, less chattering. Check in with your feeling, your emotion, your mood, your attitude. These four things can affect your thinking and behavior when they are out of control. Check in with your body, your posture, and notice the qualities of mindfulness or your power of awareness, concentration, patience, and loving kindness that you just cultivated. With that, I hand it over to Danny. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. I'm glad you pick up on what Joanne talked about a month ago, where she was talking about anxiety. And I think this is one of the key issues for all of us. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you are a Buddhist or a Protestant or Catholic or atheist or agnostic, it doesn't really matter. It's not a religious issue. It's just a living issue. And I think more and more as aging baby boomers, we're getting really concerned and aware of our health and physical health and mental health, and really start to understand that they are actually interrelated. Your mental health affects your physical, and your physical health also affects your mental health. And I'm also glad that you brought out one of the study about how deep breathing helps relieve stress and anxiety. And there's so many. I think that there's so many articles published these days on different ways of doing deep breathing, or what we call abdominal breathing. The one you mentioned is called the box breathing, which is very popular now among the militaries, among the special forces, because they need to get out from that, what we call the fight or flight mode. Because what they find is that if they can find the balance between, I think you mentioned that some time ago, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic.
Yeah.
The sympathetic is the fight or flight, and the parasympathetic is the
peaceful
what we call
state.
the peaceful state, the rest and digest. And the military, the special forces, they find that if they do the deep breathing, not only would that help them with going to rest state easily, but it actually also improves the recovery rate, the healing, all of that. So on one hand, I think there are a lot of people who are now introducing deep breathing techniques. And then at the same time, I think there's a lot of study now on the benefit of deep breathing. It turns out that, for example, there's a lot of study now on dementia, and start to go back to say, hey, maybe it's not really deposits in the brain. Maybe it's not really degeneration of a brain. Maybe it's just autoimmune problem.
Correct.
And there's some really good study that says that if you learn to do deep breathing, it actually can prevent or even reverse dementia. There's a study that shows that deep breathing will help with insomnia. There's a study that shows deep breathing can actually help with autoimmune diseases, including a lot of the skin disease and so forth. And so I think I appreciate you mentioning that. And I think people should go and find out for themselves what technique works for the best.
Correct.
And it really comes back to finding that balance, the harmony between the fight or flight and the rest of the digest. And I think the modern people who are, the baby boomers, is particularly growing up in this modern society and adopting a whole new lifestyle that basically puts us on a 24/7 mode. So we are constantly in the fight or flight.
Yeah.
And I think we need to go back. We need to find ways of really uh, going back to the rest and digest. Whether you're just reading a book, doing a hobby, like you, working in the garden.
Yeah. I turn up I'm off social media this week. I think you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I took 2 weeks off, and I this trip was my third trip this year, and I always go to Japan. Spend half of my time, 2 weeks in Japan, and half someplace else. And I always want to go back to Japan because it's a place. It's a place where the culture is indistinguishable from the Zen culture, and the Zen
Mindfulness.
culture,
Hmm.
mindfulness. It's all about mindfulness. So, in Japan, they don't have garbage can anywhere. There's no garbage can. You're supposed to carry all your garbage home, and separate them.
Wow.
And there are like 14 bins that you have to separate. Like the glass bottle, the plastic bottle goes one place, and the cap goes another place. It's really amazing culture. And so you learn to carry a plastic bag, okay? And you have to pay for a plastic bag, so they're actually your property. And so I learned to fold them.
Hmm.
So I would go to 7-Eleven, I buy whatever I need. I have to pay for a plastic bag the first time. I take it home, and instead of throwing that away or putting in the recycling bin, I
You save
fold
it.
them up. And I fold them up, and then I fold it into triangles. And then I take the handle and insert it into the triangle. And then I carry that in my backpack. And that little thing that you do put you in the rest and digest.
Hmm.
Simple things,
Yeah.
just have to. It is just that important. It is that important. And
Correct.
another way to add to it, talking about abdominal breathing is really abdominal breathing means that we're trying to use a diaphragm,
Hmm.
because the lung has no muscle, and in order for the lung to breathe, it has to you have to use a muscle. And we don't actually use the diaphragm anymore. We actually use the muscle further up around our shoulder. And so that's one of the things that we always do when we want to relax is just open the shoulder because we're using it so much, right?
Hmm.
But you have to think that, what stage of your life is the least stressful?
I don't know.
Somewhere after you were born, you get smacked in the butt. From that, after that, you recover, and then around 2 years old, you know, we always talk about the turbo two. The turbo two is actually when you start to use your intellect, when you
Hmm.
start to use your brain start to develop, and all of a sudden you develop a sense of self, and that's why we call them a turbo two, because they learn to fight for what they want, crying or whatever it is they do. But before that, they haven't done that, and they haven't done that. As a result, they actually only use the diaphragm to breathe.
Hmm.
And so if you think about it like that, there is a stage in your life, the very early stage, when you were using your diaphragm and nothing else. And you have no other muscle anyway. Otherwise, you would be able to walk as soon
Hmm.
as you're born. You have no muscle. The only muscle you have is the diaphragm, because that's what you need when you're inside the mother's womb to
Hmm.
be able to pump the nutrients through the umbilical cord. And actually, if you think about it, the reason that you were viable inside your mother's womb is because you had that balance. If you didn't have that balance, you would not be viable. So anyway, I don't want to get into a long thing about breathing with your diaphragm, because we do that in our morning class. But whatever it is, you don't have to do it the way we do it. I just encourage you, after you listen to Venerable's talk today, is really understand the relationship between your mental health and your physical health.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and one way to reduce your anxiety and your stress is to learn to do deep breathing.
Correct.
And they're just increasing body of research on that. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
If I may add, I'm working with the incarcerated population and they are full of anxiety. And usually I would take like 2 minutes or so asking them to breathe at the beginning, so they can really relax because they don't feel safe. So if they can do it, I think we out here should be able to do it. I don't think we have, I'm not trying to be judgmental. I don't think we have any excuse not to do it.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. You're not going to find a worse populations of people who are suffering chronic stress.
Yeah, and then the people inside the prison.
And in fact, the stress is the only defense mechanism. If
Correct.
they were relaxed, they would be dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
So you're able to provide a sanctuary for them. So
Right.
the only worry that you have is that you get them too relaxed and then they fall asleep,
Oh, they
which is
did.
not a bad thing.
Which is
Which is not a
nice,
bad thing.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So I'm so glad that we had a chance to continue a tradition of the first get together being in English. So we'll see each other again next month.
Yeah,
Soon, very
November
soon.
4th. November 4th.
Yeah, very soon, very
2
soon.
weeks.
Okay, so let me turn off the outside first.
Thank you.
If you guys have, if the people who are practicing with us, if you have any questions, feel free to just comment, whether it's in Facebook or YouTube or any place. We
Yeah,
just make a
please.
comment. We
Yeah, please
usually
do.
get all the comments. Yeah,
Mhm.
we never miss a comment.